that helped change a lot of things. And, since then, I'm down to 200 pounds. So down 47 pounds since January, I would
Wow.
say, is when I actually started looking like actually taking care of what I ate, taking care of that queen.
Hey, F3 Omaha, welcome back to another edition of Q Source TV, where we explore the manual of virtuous leadership, or Q Source. This week's prayer comes from Philippians chapter 3, verse 19. Their destiny is destruction, their God is their stomach, and their glory is in their shame. Their mind is set on earthly things. I love that line. Their God is their stomach. Not only referring to food, but it could be referring to food for some of us. So more on that in a minute. TWP, the principal practice or philosophy from Q Source this week is Quadrant 1, Q.3, Queen, the daily discipline over what is put into the body. And there's a few parts of the chapter that I wanted to highlight here. The truth is that to get right, I have to exert daily discipline over what I put in my mouth, no matter how fast I am accelerating my king. And that's something I really needed to hear, because I think as long as I'm working out 4 to 5 times a week and maybe doing a pre-run or 2 per week, that I'm good. I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want, and I'm going to be fine. But as I've learned, that's just not how it works for most of us. Another thing that the chapter outlines is kind of a 3-pronged system. You set a standard. So what's your ideal weight and your fupa, which is that area between your waistline and your chest, which is the thickest part of a man's torso. And then you want to apply that standard through enforcement. So you're going to do a daily weigh-in. You'll measure your fupa. And then you'll even, if you want to have some accountability with your enforcement, you would then email or text that out to your Shield Lock or some people in F3 that you want to help hold you accountable for that. And then finally, consequence, which is the result of your enforcement. So if you're good at enforcing your standards, then hopefully the consequence is that you're the ideal weight and the ideal FUPA that you desire. One final point from Q Source that I want to highlight. The very end of the chapter says, for most men, weight control requires a systematic approach because we have too much food that is too easy to get at too cheap a price. To rely on exercise alone to stay fit. To get right, we have to serve the Queen. As for a personal experience for me when it comes to Queen, here in F3 Omaha, we have something called Queen Service, which I don't know a lot about. I've never participated in it. It's actually going on right now, but I believe it's an 8 to 10 week intentionality when it comes to what you put into your body. And I think you set weight goals and you have a lot more accountability. So it's a little way of formalizing your Queen. But of course, it's something that you should probably want to practice throughout the year. Something else that is going on right now, I'm actually in the middle of a 72-hour fast. It's taught me more mentally that when I go in the pantry at 9 o'clock at night, even if I'm not fasting, I don't really need that food that's in there, because if I can last 72 plus hours without ingesting any food and I'm fine, I don't collapse, I don't go to the hospital, anything like that, then I don't need, whatever I'm trying to snack on at that time. It's also taught me the discipline of kind of setting some time limits of when I should stop eating. And that's really helped a lot with my sleep and my digestion and that sort of thing. So just trying to be consistent on kind of the hours from when I start eating and when I stop eating during the day, and then definitely not snacking late at night, especially on the weekends where it can be a little more challenging. All right, let's get to this week's Q. And when I say he's one of my favorite F3 Omaha brothers, all you got to do is look at the numbers. They don't lie. Tooth Fairy and I have posted the most with each other, at least according to the F3 Omaha database, which I don't think lies. I think they keep some pretty good stats there. So anyways, shout out to Tooth Fairy. He's one of my favorite brothers to work out with. He's the current bullpen site Q. Him and Slim Jim are co-Qs. His name is Casey Comstock. He's a hiring manager for Charles Schwab, and he's also a church planter / pastor for Crossover Church. More on that during the interview. And he joined F3 in February of 2024. So when he gets through this winter, he'll be celebrating his 2-year anniversary with F3 Omaha. He grew up in Scotland, South Dakota, home of the Highlanders. He met his M in Scotland and started dating at the University of South Dakota. His favorite hobby is sports, and he defines a leader as someone who helps a person or persons or a group get from where they are to where they want to go. As I mentioned already, I've had a lot of experience in the gloom with Tooth Fairy. He's one of the funniest guys, kind of low key, as my daughter, who's in eighth grade, likes to say, low key funny. He'll just spout out some wit out of nowhere, and if you get to know him a little bit and you learn that he's a pastor, if that's one of the first things you learn about him, and then you hear his quick wit, it's just kind of funny that you wouldn't always expect a pastor to be that witty and that funny. And it kind of throws me at least off guard a little bit, but always cracking a joke, always smiling. I think he posts 6 days a week pretty consistently as long as his work doesn't take him out of town. Very dedicated him when it comes to his fitness. And my favorite part of the interview that you're about to see is you're not going to believe the amount of weight that he lost since January 1 of this year. It is a remarkable story. And the best part, he's in the middle of Queen service right now because there's a weight goal that he hasn't hit yet that he still wants to hit. And that's why he's doing Queen service away. It's an awesome interview with him that I've gotten to really enjoy being around and hanging out with here in Bennington. Can't wait for you to see it.
All right, we're now joined on Q Source TV by Tooth Fairy. How's it going, Tooth?
It's going good. Milk Carton, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. My first question today, how does Scotland, South Dakota compare to Scotland, Europe?
I've never been to Scotland, Europe. I'm sure Scotland, South Dakota is fairly smaller than Scotland, Europe. Scotland, South Dakota is a town of probably 800 or less people, so tiny.
Not a lot of golf in Scotland, South Dakota?
There is golf. We do have a 9-hole course that I've never played.
Good, good to know. What is a Highlander and what did the school mascot have to dress up as or look like?
Are you not a fan of Braveheart? If you are a fan of Braveheart, that's what a Highlander is for the most part. Or Highlander the movie, I guess you can use that as well. But yep, that's what our mascot was. So we used to on a kickoff, we used to say Highlanders mount up. And so it was like our rally cry.
TWP, the purpose, principle, or practice from Q Source this week is Queen. And it talks about how most men need portion control, accountability, daily measurements to be able to control their diet, and how you can't out king your queen, it likes to say in Q Source, meaning that accelerating your fitness is tied directly to how you manage your food intake. You've experienced a demonstrative transformation, when it comes to your body. What have you done in the area of Queen to look so good?
Well, first and foremost, I need to tell you, I get called milk carton every once in a while. So that's a huge compliment to me, maybe not to you, but the weight loss has helped me look more like you, which is it's a win there. But I would say, it's been huge. Like so um prior to F3, I was about 247 pounds and definitely eating was out of control. Like stress eating, I was involved in a lot of stuff, family life, work stuff, church stuff, and just the excuse of, well, I'm just too busy to work out, and I'm just gonna eat whatever's in front of me. And so obviously FT helped with the working out piece of it, but it wasn't until Queen service happened this last spring where like I realized, okay, I need to not just watch what I eat, but actually start like monitoring it and actually like documenting it. It's like accountability when it comes to like, hey, I have people that watch my internet and things I look at on my computer. Why
Mm.
shouldn't I do the same thing with my food? And so if I put this in my food journal, I have someone watching that, looking at that. Like if they see I ate 5 Oreos today, like I'm gonna have to answer them. We have to like talk about that. And so like using Fitness Pal, doing stuff like that it was helpful. And like actually having a goal of how many calories per day, like that helped change a lot of things. And since then I'm down to 200 pounds, so down 47 pounds since January, I would
Wow.
say, is when I actually started looking like actually taking care of what I ate, taking care of that queen.
What is Queen service? You guys talk about Queen service all the time.
More just accountability. Like it's like a 8 to 10 week, hey, you're just really focused on your fitness or
Okay.
not like fitness on what you're eating and the queen piece of things. And so hey, this is week 0. And each week you're monitoring and actually putting down what your weight is, and you have a goal for that time period. And so I think like first go around, what I did was like 227. I got down to like pretty close to like 205, I believe, after that 8 to 10 weeks, and then actually just kicked one off 2 weeks ago. So I was at like 204. Um, Today I'm at like 200. Love to get down to like about 185 if I my fighting weight, if I had a fighting weight. So that's kind of the goal for this next 10 weeks is getting down to 185.
That's awesome. Good luck with that.
Thanks, dude.
Your X profile says you're inspired to inspire. What motivated you to write that bio, and how does F3 inspire you?
I was at a conference and someone mentioned that or said that was probably 10 years ago. And man, I really like, I want to make sure I want to help other people. I want to make sure like, hey, no matter the circumstances, no matter what you're going through, like there's always hope. And I want to inspire people to do what and who God made them to be who God made them to be, and to do what God made them to do. And so I think a lot of times, and we don't do things like that because we're not encouraged, we're not inspired to do things. I've had many people in my life like have those I see you conversations of like, man, like I see this in you, and I want to do that to other people. I want to see, hey, I see this in you. I see what God has made you to be, and like, hey, you can go do these things. So if I could help people by encouraging them, showing them, and being a part of their life, like help them do what God's told them to do, love to be a part of that.
You said 10 years ago you heard it, but with F3, do you feel like it's changed?
Yeah, I think F3, like if you think about how like being able to wake up early with you guys, like in every aspect, fitness, fellowship, and faith, like seeing how, guys like you and think about Snare and just Mayday and all you guys, like fitness wise, like man, like I remember the first time I posted, like I could barely make it up the parking lot for like Bunstown Badger Point. It's like jeepers. But then like you guys, how you encouraged me, that whole like leave no man where you found him, or leave no where you found, like don't leave them there. Like that's been just huge. Like you guys always coming back to get me, and I'm able to do that for other people. So that's been inspiring. I think of like, when it comes to fellowship, like I truly like hearing people's stories, and I think even just helping people out when they're in times of need, and like just like so inspiring that hey, this is a group of guys that are there for each other. And then hearing people's faith journeys as well, like I'm just inspired to continue to grow and take care of my family and to be there for them. So F3 has been huge, and like how it's not just about like showing off and look how great I am. It's more like, hey, I'm showing up for the people.
You mentioned Queen Service. You seem to embrace the various challenges in F3 Omaha. In the winter, you did the Bandit Yeti. In the spring, you did the Grizz pre-run, pre-ruck challenge. And then just recently, the Summer Murph Challenge. And you've been at F3 Navy. Why do you like participating in these various challenges?
I think for me, it's not just to be like the best in F3 Omaha, but to be the best version of me. And I'm not gonna get to be the best, kind of the best me if I'm not challenging myself, pushing myself. And also, like if I was just doing it by myself, um, I probably wouldn't be doing those things. But guys like Slim Jim and Nightstand and everybody else that are like, hey, you doing this? You can be part of this. Like, I want to show up because they're showing up. I want to be there as they're doing and going through it as well. And so it's been fun to challenge myself and challenge each other, and keep pushing ourselves.
If you could come up with your own challenge, what would it look like and why?
Oh man, think who can make it to the most cafeterias? Maybe like that'd be maybe it. No,
You're the first pastor we've had on Q Source TV. How long have you been doing the Lord's work?
boy, it's a great question. So didn't start that way. I have a degree in business finance. I was in that world for a while. I was at Wells Fargo for about 5 years up in Sioux Falls, and man, that was, I don't know how many years. I left Wells Fargo and did about 5 years at a church up in Sioux Falls, called Celebrate. I did kids ministry, young adult ministry. I was a campus pastor for a season. That's actually what brought me to Omaha. I became a church planner. So I helped someone else start a church in the Papillion, Bellevue area. And then after about 3, 4 years there, moved to Bennington to start Crossover Church. And so I don't know, 10 to 12 years roughly, if you want to count full-time ministry versus lay ministry, all that type of stuff. So I'm a co-vocational pastor, work full-time at Charles Schwab, and I get a pastor at a church called Crossover. And so if someone would have told me 15 years ago, Casey, this is what you're going to be doing, I laugh at them, give them a high five, and tell them to get out of here, because that's just not where I thought my life was going. But it's been pretty cool to see what God can do with someone's life once they submit and surrender to Him.
And how has Crossover Church helped your F3 journey, and how has F3 directly impacted your pastoral life?
I heard this quote. It said, "Hey, you can, if you start a church, you might make disciples, but if you make disciples, you might start you will, like a church will happen. And so,
Mm.
for me, when I started crossover, like I fully embrace like, hey, discipleship needs to be at the forefront of that. And John, when you think about like John Wesley, who was like the Methodist movement, you think about like Jesus's ministry as well. Like he had these spheres, like these circles. And so, John Wesley had these bands, these schools, and it's accountability groups. And so Jesus had his 12 and his larger groups as well. And so when I started crossover, it was like, hey, we're going to have these core groups for groups of 3 to 5 accountability groups. We're going to have these community groups, which are like the small groups, the 8 to 12 people. And then we have like the gathering as well. And so that is like the framework. And then like when I think about like F3, it's a similar structure and layout as well, right? You think about you got the whetstone, you got the shield locks, you do have the actually like the AOs and like the workouts, and you have the bigger group gatherings as well. So I think like for me, it's really helped making sure fellowship is at the forefront, and we need different relationships, and we need to make sure we are having those relationships and impacting other people as well.
Never heard it put that way, but that's very good. F3 stands for fitness, fellowship, and faith, as you mentioned. Of the three F's, I think on the surface and to an FNG, faith might be the hardest one to define. Given one of your day jobs, how would you describe faith in F3 to someone looking to join our leadership group?
For me, it's believing in something bigger than you, believing in like a creator, and that you're here on a purpose as well. Like one of the verses that I really grab hold to is Ephesians 2:10, right? You are God's masterpiece, creating in Christ Jesus for the work that He's planned for you. And so when I think about faith and like believing in something, like there's something out there, someone out there that is bigger than you, and that something created you and given you a purpose and a plan and gifts and talents, and to go do those things, do His work for Him. And so when I think about faith and believing in something bigger than you, it's no longer being selfish, which most of my life was very selfish and very prideful, and just a complete change of like, man, being selfless and like, hey, I'm here for a purpose.
You've had a front row seat to your own transformation, but also that of a close friend. We often hear in COTs that F3 has changed someone's life. Through your observations, what do you think is the magic of F3 to not only change, but in some cases actually save lives?
Being willing to step out of your comfort zone and engage with someone and hear someone's story. And once you hear their story, is how your story can actually relate to them, how your story can actually impact them. And maybe you've gone through something that maybe some of that they're going through, that so you can relate to them. And so I truly believe like maybe the messes we've caused or the messes we've gone through becomes your message, and you can then share that message with someone else that's going through something similar. So I truly believe like everything we go through is purposeful by God. Like like it says, like He works all things out for the good, not your good, but His good in His kingdom. And so there's things you go through that suck in the moment, but yet once you start connecting the dots, you say, oh, okay, I see how that was not just impactful for me, but it's going to be impactful for someone else as well.
I agree. You mentioned losing 47 pounds, but I think the most powerful part of F3 is in those prayer and COT circles. A lot of power and Jesus working through those.
Yeah.
Last question. I don't know if you know this, but you're in the top 3 of posts for 2025 with over 200. But I want to know, when did F3 become more than just weekly workouts for you, and who or what helped make it such a bigger part of your life?
So when I started, it'll be 2 years in February. The first probably, I don't know, 10 months, I was probably maybe 2 to 3 times a week, and it was good. I enjoyed it. It wasn't until January when I heard about the Grizz challenge, right? And that was the first challenge that I got, like, hey, I'm going to go do that. That helped with that. And then Slim Jim, we started talking about this pre-run stuff, and we weren't pre-running yet. But Dinger said, hey, not gonna get any better by not doing it. So we started pre-running and doing things like that. And so I think for me, obviously I needed to show up for myself first and foremost. Like I needed to get myself right. And so in the fitness side of things, when the king and queen, but then it started becoming like, I don't want to just show up for myself. I do want to show up for other people. And so just being present and being there for other people, knowing that, hey, if only one other person shows up, I want to be there for them. I want to help them on their journey as well. I think when we started pre-running with some other people, it wasn't like, hey, we're going to go run 4 miles. It was no, hey, let's run for 2 miles and walk or let's run for 2 minutes and walk for a minute, and started like easing into things and doing things like that and just being creative with it. So ultimately it's about showing up for the people and being present for them.
Like a kid hiding their tooth under their pillow. I can't wait to see what Tooth Fairy surprises us with at the Crucible. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thanks, sir.
All right, F3 Omaha, that's it. I can't believe it's over either. I had so much fun. Next week, we have LPC on the queue. Got a lot of stories with LPC. Can't wait for that interview. And then next week's P is Quadrant 1, Q.4, Jester, the temptation of the flesh that hinders acceleration. Can't wait to see you then.